Hey gang, I'm in Valdosta, Georgia right now, and by the way, don't say Valdosta. I learned my lesson in episode 1 of the Doc Holliday Trail. I'm here at Sunset Hill Cemetery in Valdosta, very old cemetery, very large cemetery, and I was here looking for the grave of Doc Holliday's mother, Alice Jane McKee Holliday, which I did find. Took about an hour and a half to find it because the find a grave was off, like they just put the GPS in the center of the cemetery. If you're going to do that, put it on the grave, please. I did find a clue in the picture, and you know, we can look at clues, but there was a very small clue because it was uptight on the stone, but there was a little transformer on a telephone pole, so way in the top, and I'm driving around and around the cemetery. It has to be on the street, right? No, it's in the middle of the cemetery. So I was about to give up. I said, there it is. So I got in my car, walked backwards, lined it up, and there is Alice. So anyway, we're on the trail of Doc Holliday. We're heading up to Griffin. Came from North Florida. I'm going to stop in Macon after this, and then Griffin the next day. So I'm going to take this right here, and we're going to just move it after Macon so it connects to Doc Holliday Part 3. Looking for his grave. So we start here in Valdosta with his mom, and it looks to me like someone has really been taking care of this stone. It's in beautiful shape. The picture on Find a Grave had a lot of moss and stuff on it, but there it is. Alice J. Holliday, born April 21st, 1829, died September 16th, 1866. And it says, "Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord." Interesting. Now, maiden name McKee, and I did notice that over there, now if you come here, basically, and by the way, I fixed the GPS, so it's on, but you don't even need it. You can just look for this house here and the telephone pole. And if you go over there, you will see the McKee family. I'm not sure why she's here by herself. She's next to Maggie Wiley here, but okay, so from here we're going to continue, and this is part 3 on the trail of Doc Holliday. I've got some intriguing information on supposedly where he's really buried. We're just not going to know. Here it is said that Henry Burroughs Holliday is buried unmarked, but who knows with all this history, right? But it's part of the fun to try to figure it out. So I'll turn it back on when I get to Griffin, and rest in peace, Alice Jane Holliday. Hey gang, we're now in Spalding County, Georgia, in Griffin. Just came up from Valdosta, and we're continuing on the trail of Doc Holliday's grave. Where is he? Part 3, and what you see down here, down this hill, is the Confederate cemetery. It's called Stonewall Cemetery, by the way. This is not a political, this is history. And if you're going to leave a bad comment and not respectful and get into the whole Confederate thing, then we're not only going to remove your comment, we're going to block you. So let's focus on the story, the Doc Holliday story. We're going to walk down there, we're going to go in there, we're going to take a look. But again, to set the framework, part 1, we were in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Pretty much everyone agrees that's probably where he was buried. That's a cenotaph. He most probably was moved here, Griffin, and we covered that in part 2, and we studied that. Again, nobody knows. We're just throwing out the information here, trying to do as much research as we can. But now this cemetery is bounded by Oak Hill on one side here, and then on the other side of the highway, which is actually, some say, where Doc Holliday is buried with his father. So that's, you know, another possibility. And again, right up here is where his baby sister is buried. So we've got all that going. But I was contacted, you know, this episode 1 and 2 that I did several months ago, last year, got a lot of views, and I think a lot of people here in Griffin saw it, and people have come forward. I've heard from some people But there's a small contingent of people that claim to be, I'll call it the gatekeepers of the knowledge of where Doc Holliday is really buried, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to show you the Stonewall Cemetery. We're going to walk down there, of course, and they say that he is buried there. So I'm going to read to you what came to me. You can take it for whatever it's worth. It seems intriguing, and let's walk down there and we'll pick it up. Stonewall Cemetery, Confederate. Let's take a look inside. It's going to get a little noisy here, guys, with all the traffic right on the highway here. We're in. There are all Confederates here, but there is one Union soldier somewhere. There's a memorial to the women of Griffin and Spalding County who gave their services during the war between the states from 61 to 65. Big boulder here. Many graves. I'm going to read to you what was said to me, what was sent to me as we walk along and we look at some of these gravestones. The Hollidays were Presbyterians. John Henry Doc Holliday was born on 14 August 1851, baptized at First Presbyterian Church of Griffin in 1852. You will find no written record of his grave, not because of grave robbers, but because of souvenir hunters. Doc wanted to rest in peace. And speaking to me, Ron, they said, "You have followed the trails that have led you to some correct deductions. However, you were not privy to the final key. It is affirmative that Doc is not in Glenwood Springs anymore. His body was there, but not for long. It is affirmative that his body was brought back here to Griffin. The last couple of months before Doc died, he sent word to his father back here that he would prefer, if at all possible, that he be laid to rest in the sweet Mother Earth from which he came. His body was brought back under the order of Doc's father and retrieved by Doc's cousin Robert and an undertaker from Griffin. And his body was secretly brought to a funeral home and placed inside until nightfall of that day. After midnight, Doc's body was quietly removed and taken to a cemetery for burial in an unmarked grave. There were but 5 men present and no one else. There were 2 black former slave gravediggers who did not read nor write, and they did not know who they were burying. They were told there was a lady who had a very contagious disease and were sworn to secrecy. The grave was not dug until late that night, shortly before the burial. And it was not marked and entered upon the books of the cemetery as an unknown person. You have the correct town, Griffin, but the wrong cemetery. Why would his body be placed near his family, where people would look? Doc's mortal remains were interred in the Stonewall Confederate Cemetery in downtown Griffin. And he closes with the statement, "The sweet trees under which he was laid have long since disappeared." Well, and so it was said, and so it is said. It's intriguing to think that there's a good possibility that Doc Holliday is really here. I may be standing within 10 feet or 100 feet of him right now. Probably will never know, but it's not a place that people have come to visit very much, and certainly not a place that people have come to visit looking for the grave of Doc Holliday. I do believe those people, if they know, and this is true, then they know where in the cemetery where Doc is actually laid to rest. But why would they say? Why would they tell? Because it would just bring tourists here from all over the world. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. But I'll leave it to you, and we're going to close out part 3 here in Griffin, Georgia. And the mystery will probably continue.